We have the the presentation from Cesar and Ramiro. They have asked me to make the presentation in English, but they will be uh, present, and Ramiro has asked me if he can comment on the presentation from time to time. So
Hi,
let's have a
good
look.
evening.
Hi, Ramiro, how are you?
Very proud to be here.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next, we're going to talk about a surveying company in the province of Misiones. And just a little bit of an introduction. Ramiro and Cesar, Ramiro Baez and Cesar Camblong founded this company in the early 90s. And the other day, when we were discussing the, this presentation, we found out that we were doing exactly the same thing in the opposite poles of the globe. I was doing first and second order control points in northern Canada, and they were doing exactly the same in 1992 in Argentina. And we had great stories about the constellation, the GPS constellation in those days. It was like 12 satellites, and we had a planning software that told us, according to our latitude and longitude, where to be and so on. So we had a lot of fun, discussing the last 30 years of our profession. And very similar to what Alejandro had experienced in Venezuela, these guys have done a great job of keeping up with technology. So with that, uh, let's start. So company was founded in 1991 as a traditional land surveying. In those days, you had theodolites and the initial um, distance measuring electronic devices. So they all started the same way, um, but eventually, they in 1992 they bought their first GPS receiver, a Topcom GP R1 with 9 channels, and like I told you, the getting into that whole thing of doing first and second order control point was a little bit of a nightmare. In 1995, they landed a large customer, which is one of those things that as an entrepreneur you're always dreaming about. And it was the first massive use of GPS for boundary measurements in the country. And it forced the company to make heavy investments in equipment, not only surveying equipment, but they have to buy uh, all-terrain vehicles. They have to buy, all sorts of unrelated equipment, and it was a big investment for the company. It was they had to do a leap of faith into this because at the beginning of a company, especially in survey, it's scary when you have to invest. But I think this Chilean customer gave them the opportunity to move forward. As you can see, they deal with all types of terrain.
One,
Um,
I would like to add that it was the beginning of a large path of learning what Alejandro said and remark about learn how to deliver the information to the customer also, because it was very difficult to us to have this new technology and then to deliver to someone who needed printing in paper. So we start working on that, on deliver the information since there. So then we have some other results that you will tell, but it was the beginning of this problem that we try to solve, and today we also try to solve.
right, and I'm going to show the progression as you move forward, because once you start creating that amount of data, then you have to know how to deliver it. And in those years, it was the beginning of internet mapping, right? So you and the company, you move to see how you can deliver that product via the internet. So you have to create applications for your customers. And once again, we're talking about how do we turn all that information, all that data into information. Okay. You created they developed this application called iVisual, and they start delivering the data to the customers via interactive websites. I remember because in those years, when you do a GIS deployments, there was the people who had access to the information inside the office, and they had good connections and so on. And then there were people outside of the office who had to have access to that information, and we have to be very, very careful with how heavy these maps were and this information was, because sometimes people were dialing in, using a phone
Yes.
line, and
Yes.
refreshing those screens was a little bit of a nightmare. You deal with a lot of agricultural customers, misiones, right? It's a big
Yes. It's
agricultural and
the
forest,
main customers are agriculture,
right?
forestry
Forestry and agriculture.
mostly.
So this is the fun part. This is when in 2009, they knew that the future was in aerial imagery. So they began constructing their own remote control aircraft equipped with a high definition camera. It was not very successful, right? Ramiro, you want to give us something?
Not at all. Not at all. But we also find that there was a possibility, and in 2009 there was another already made products, but they were so expensive to us, and we tried to do it ourselves, and then we find that there was a result that we can achieve. Then it was, like I said before, it was the beginning of a path.
Yes. So in 2011, they bought a DJI Phantom 2. And of course, that was a platform designed with software and so on to not only do the flight, but processing the images and so on. But the flying time, which is probably in those days, it was 20 minutes, and the winds affected the efficiency. They had limited success, but they learned a lot about, this was the direction they wanted to move. Then eventually they bought a copy of Pix 4D. Again, the learning curve about aerial imagery and post-processing, but they still were limited to small areas, small jobs, especially in bridge. I call it catastrophe because it's not necessarily um, um, a precise mapping of the bridge, but to know where the bridge are located and more or less the status. Um, the bridge inspection in the Department of Transportation nomenclature is something different. But you start working, and unfortunately, I mean, most farms in Argentina are enormous. I
Yes,
remember
yes,
one day I asked an
enormous.
Argentinian farmer how big was his farm, and he said 2.5 days on a horseback, that way, and 2.5 days that way. So that's that's big. In 2016, they bought a UX5 from Trimble, and everything changed. Um, In 4 years, they have flown 670 flights covering almost 1 million acres. Um, and they have using real-time kinematic and extensive ground control, and they always achieve precision of less than 3 inches or less than 10 centimeters. Um, that
we can
that
also have a parallel. I'm sorry. I would like to take something that Alejandro said, that there were other in the companies, in our customers, they also begin to have some phantoms, and we, as we were specialists in these fields, they couldn't do the work that we do. They bought the aircraft, but they couldn't have the results. So it's important to be always prepared, as he said, and to have the all the stuff that you need to have a map. You can have the aircraft, but also you need the vehicle, you need a PC, special PC, you need a lot of hours of preparation, and you need to be specialist in this area to have a result. So it's not just the aircraft. You have to have a lot of hour of preparation to have a result. So in this way, it was also an opportunity because they crash a lot of aircraft, and we go on flying.
Well, thank God in manned aviation we don't crash that often. We crash, but not that often. No, I know because dealing with the support logs in my 2 years in Trimble was a big change for a
Yes,
company used to sell equipment that doesn't fail, doesn't fall from the sky. Okay, so the lessons that you learned on that process is that you have to become an aviation company. You have to register aircraft with an ACT, with the Civil Association, the FAA of Argentina. You have to
yes.
certify pilots, including test flights. And there was a cultural change. The company suddenly was playing with something, was using a tool that can damage somebody that is remote, that is 100 meters, 200 meters away from you, and that for a surveyor is a change of in mentality. Um, so here we're showing your license for Ramiro and Cesar, and the registration of the Trimble, the UX5. So it's like in Argentina, it's treated as another aircraft, right?
Yes, it is a different office, but the specification are also the same.
The same. Right now, with this, with our technology, you can cover 2,500 acres in two flights of 40 minutes each, right? Is that correct?
Yes,
And you invest 1 day of ground control, half a day of processing, and you can produce an orthophoto mosaic, a DTM, contour lines, and drainage analysis. This is amazing. In 1.5 days, that can you tell us what it would take to do that without the aircraft?
no, it is impossible to do this job also with these details levels, because it changed also the our custom asked to us, because they used to this product, and now they just order go and fly. And in the next day they are asking you the results. So you can't do it in another way. You must continue with this technology.
Okay. So you basically you made a transition for good.
Yes,
You're here to stay. You have no choice. You have become a photogrammetry company.
yes, and also a development company, because um, we have to deliver to a product that the customer can accede, because they are not special in SIG. So you have to deliver something that they can use. That is quite important, because you have to translate amount, quantity of information in 2 or 3 megas that they can read and use.
Yeah, let's talk about when we talk about your smartphone application, okay?
Yeah.
I would like to make emphasis on that because you were forced, and this is one of the questions that was for Alejandro also. You were forced to look at ways to deliver this information to the
Yes,
customer,
we were forced, because internet here is not the rule; it's an exception.
right? And cellular coverage.
Not too much, because the our customers need the information in the field, so it's far away from antennas, and it's not they have not cellular cell signal.
Okay, so is spotty the information.
And it must be offline maps.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about that on that slide. This is some of
Yes,
the
yes.
images that you provided for great visualization products. I can only imagine, your customers' level of excitement with this, but it is also take a lot of computing power to generate this.
Yes.
Contour lines, which for both forestry and agriculture are key. Drainage, crop area calculations. It's very important for farmers to calculate, potential revenue. And I can see areas here where there is
It's
dirt,
forestry.
right? So it's with a little bit of artificial intelligence, you can do tree count.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, that's the idea. We
Okay,
use we use a trimmer product for a while, but then it will took a lot of time, so we don't deliver that product, but it can be done.
okay. So the UAVs allow Cesar and Ramiro to replace a lot of field operations. Emphasis on road planning and construction, quality of photos created a new application. They originally the idea was to be able to measure with a high degree of accuracy the distance from the center line to the poles. But given the quality of the photograph, the customer also found that this photograph can be used to assess the status of the asphalt. So a new application was born out of the quality of the photograph. And I guess that created a new contract with your customer.
Yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah, these images, is this with the UX5?
Yes, yes. All
Sony?
the,
Sony?
the picture that we are seeing is from the UX file.
Okay. So most of the customers are in agriculture. They're non-experts handling extremely heavy files and data. So they develop a smartphone application called Agrofor Map. Lighter files, offline usage for graphic and non-graphic, and GPS enabled. These allow the customers to use that information on the field without necessarily being connected to the network. Would you like to elaborate?
what we done when we begin with flying, or with a very high quality product of flying, we need to give our custom the same information that we have in computer, that we can produce in computer, to have them to deliver, so they can see it in the field. And it was a challenge to translate this information. And what we could do was this application that can show the mosaic that we produce in a very cheap device, and also in field. So you don't need to have a signal to show this in your telephone. So we give another step, giving the custom, or another specialist custom that goes into field to take a decision based on the information that we have captured. So that was a very important step to us, because we can capitalizar. No, I can translate the word capitalizar to show what we are doing, so they can not just see, but use the information that we have produced.
Yeah, our next presentation will talk about exactly that. The move from surveying to aerial photography involves a lot of data, and
Yes,
that is a trap,
it
for
is.
all of you thinking about doing this. The next presentation by Compass Drone will address the issue of data, but it is extremely important to know that you're going to need a lot of generating computing power and saving capacity, and
Yes,
the
saving capacity
organization.
to have a big library.
Exactly, exactly. And if you deliver that, 57 gigabyte file to your customer with all the information, you're not doing him or her any favors. I mean, you,
No,
you
not at all.
basically, they spend all that money, and what they have is data. What they need is information. So this was brilliant, but it also has
And
an
also
implication.
they need a special, this special, so they you are giving an information, because when your customer is the specialty department of the company, you can deliver a TIFF file, or something more specific. But when your custom is someone who needs a result, and don't have even the computer to see this information, you need to do this kind of transformation,
So
or
changing
magic.
from, so Ramiro, the implication is that going from land surveying to aerial photography is not only the UAV, is the implications of
Yes, yes, it
how do
is.
you handle that data, how do you deliver that data to your customer, which is important to take into account when making the move.
Exactly.
There is a
And as I told you before, we begin with the problem of internet access, and also the way to deliver the cartography information to the custom since the beginning, because we couldn't go on with paper print map. So we need to go on, and that's where it appears. So when the big data from from photography appears, we were training to this kind of translate problem, so we could solve it quickly.
Okay. This is something that is, this table is very useful for anybody thinking about um, turning into aerial photography. Um, it's a correlation between the altitude at which you fly, the size of the pixel, and the coverage per flight. If you do 70% overlap, 80% overlap, or 90% overlap, and also the same statistics for per day. I mean, in terms of how many flights can you do. And in the United States, we're trying to stay away from flying over 400 feet. So that will be between 100 and 150 meters. So these two lines here will be the range in which we will be able to do this in the US. But even
Also
at
consider that in the area that where we work, there is not a big flight traffic. No, there is not nowadays because of the COVID. There is not fly at all. But it's not London at all. So we can we have 3-4 planes a day. So it's not danger to fly a bit higher, like 300 meters. But also the risk is yours because you can lose your device. So we keep on 200 meters.
Okay. No, the regulations in the US are very, very stringent. And I think that's why everybody wants to make it work in the US, because if it works here, you can apply it almost anywhere. But anyway, I recommend this table for anybody thinking about statistics for this flight and efficiency. Finally, in 2018, IBC acquired an EB Model X to expand their fleet. They obtained longer flying time. How much longer, Ramiro?
About an hour.
More than an hour.
About an hour.
Okay. And you also have the flexibility of 5 different types of cameras for a variety of applications, friendlier takeoff and landing capabilities, which is very important on steep terrain. And you can give us an update, but according to the presentation that you sent me, you already had done about 50 flights.
Yes, it's our new toy.
Tell us in terms of the decision to use one or the other, to use the UX5 or the EV, what are your considerations? What are your parameters?
Well, the UX is much more heavy, so in windy days it is much more stable, and we have much more equipment because we work much more with the trimble equipment. So we have much more batteries, and we have more logistic for this device. But also what it is on the slide, it is much more safety. The new one, the EV model, it's much more safety for land. So there are pros and contras for both of them.
Okay.
We are tending to change to this new one, but we use both.
You still have multi-copters?
Yes, we do, and in the small work, we use these multicopters.
So you still use
Yes,
the
yes,
multi-copter?
we do. Yes, we do. It is what Alejandro said. You need to see the scale of the work to pick the right tool to do your work.
So this is incredible because you maintaining a fleet of three different types of aircraft, right? That's not easy to do. You have different support issues, different
Yes,
service issues.
that is it's a bit. You have to remember a lot of things that are different in this each device.
Okay. Okay, the conclusions. IBC has done their best to be leaders in the region. And I've been in this business for a long time, and I tell you, it's not easy to keep up with technology. They've done a great job, in my opinion. They upgrade to the latest technology fast. They don't wait. It's easy to lose that leadership position. They had to do a cultural change of safety and accountability. These things fall from the sky, and they create accidents. They're basically a photogrammetry company, but also an aviation company. They have to establish a relationship with the civil aviation, with the general aviation organization in Argentina. They have to keep their licenses up to date. They have to keep the registrations up to date. It's a big change from a land surveying company uh, to do this jump. They continue monitoring developments in the industry all the time, and they're ready to move forward again if need be. So with that, thank you. I hope you like what I did with your slides and the translation.
Yes, yes, yes. And we thank you. We thank you because you give us the opportunity to be here and to show and also to see because when Alejandro spoke, we felt very identified
Identified.
because
Yep.
identify. I'm sorry. Um, because the ways were parallel in a lot of things and a lot of issues that we have to solve like like he did, and also the the political problems and economic problems that are also moving our feet in all these regions. Well, you know it.
From the point of view of your personnel, you had a company who were, surveyors, people in field people, right? In when I had my surveying company in Venezuela, we had the macheteros, the people with the machetes that help you
Mm.
open, your line of sight. But you
Yes,
basically,
yes, yes.
right, you're dealing with people who have a culture of operating on the ground. In terms of personnel, of human resources, what was the challenge of moving to a culture of
It's
accountability and
huge.
safety?
It's huge. It is huge because we are not in the center of the country, so we are on the on the borders, and we are far away from the cultural centers. So it is very difficult to have human resources, and we have a very small and tough team that we do all what we can. So we are five, and we five do all what it needs to be done. We go to the field, we speak with the customs, we sell, we do the process. So it's a very small team, and also very developed team to do everything what it must be done. So it is very difficult to get a new one. And also when you um, show what you have done, it's also danger to have a new competition.
Okay. Yeah, it is important to understand for those of you who are thinking about moving to UAV mapping, it is very important to understand that uh, the considerations are many. Software, hardware, but also the fact that you will be dealing with a new regulation office is not only surveying, is aviation and personnel. You will have people who will oppose or who will be, unable to adapt to the change. You will be probably looking at a younger workforce in terms of wanted to play with drones and explore the software component. This is something that we have experienced personally. But there's, like Alejandro said, there's room for everybody, and there's still a lot of work to do on the ground for the ground control points, and that I invite you to come to the Larry Fox presentation later in the day, because that's when we will talk about the ground control points. When you are a surveyor, you probably have been contracted or hired to do ground control, but they tell you where to go and what to do. When you are a photogrammetry company,
And
you
also,
you have to decide where to put the ground control. So
yes, but and we also do this work for other companies, because when the work or the project is too large, we might be part of this project, and we can do land work, or we can do some specific work in some specific city. So it also is important to be part of something bigger. So you don't need to do everything. You can be part of something, and it is also good for you, for your business, and also for the result of the.
how easy is it to grow, let's say, outside of your geography? Because this will be the next step. You now have three aircraft. You have a workforce that is trained. You are an expert. You have 1 million acres. How easy is it to say, okay, let's open uh, an office in
But it's not easy.
Mendoza?
It's not easy because it's not easy because we are not interested in that way. We have a lot of customs around us to attend, so it will be much better to be locals. The first one, or the best, but locals. It has to do with a personal decision. We don't want to grow up much more than what we have done, but we have also because of the need, we have also developed software development department, and that's where we wanted to go to have our national or regional projection with software development.
Also, to expand more on the software side than on the flying side.
Yes, yes, because we have a product that is unique in the region, so we want to expand on that way.
Okay. Okay, Ramiro, thank you
And
very much. Any other comments you want to?
no, just to thank again, because you give us the opportunity to speak and to see new things, and also the new stories that are similar to ours. So Thank you.